Narua Wahia, 1995. 23-year-old Donovan Rei was at a party when he got into a fight.
Something obviously happened that night.
His face is really sore.
A short while later, he was found dead on the side of the road.
He was taken out on the highway.
We just found a body on the road.
Like, he needs help.
Narua Wahia police said it was a hit and run.
It was no accident. It was a deliberate act.
Family and friends suspect it was murder.
I think he was deliberately run over.
An impact.
There was no way that was a motor accident.
How could you do that to someone?
For 20 years, the Rei family has wondered what really happened that night.
There are secrets being kept.
Sensing Murder's remarkable psychics will attempt to uncover the truth.
Okay, what happened to you, mate?
He was murdered.
From beyond the grave, can the psychics give a grieving father closure
I will keep fighting to see some justice done.
and provide peace for friends in pain?
The thing that's been killing me for years is the not knowing.
Narua Wahia, on the banks of the mighty Waikato River just north of Hamilton. It's a town with a mixed reputation. And it's here Donovan Rei's young life ended. Donovan Rei was born in the Waikato, the youngest of 2 children, but moved with his parents to Adelaide when he was 8 and his sister 12.
He was just a normal kid. He's grown up, played with the kids next door, loved to dress up as a cowboy.
His father says Donovan was fun-loving and a boy with a big heart.
As he grew up, he was a generous person. He would give you the shirt off his back. If he had his last $10 and you needed it more than him, he'd give it to you. He was never in trouble with the police, never in jail. Good sense of humour. And I just like to think of him as a bit of a scallywag.
As a teenager, according to his cousin, he started acting up.
He was a bit of a rat bag. He got into a bit of trouble, I think, with pot, loud music, taking off, not listening to his mum. So he got sent back to New Zealand.
He came to live in Narua Wahia with his uncle, Peter.
He got a job, he went out working, he made his own way. He never asked me for help or anything. And most people that knew him all thought that he was a great fella.
He needed a bit of family around him. Like, he had his mum and me, and his mum and I had separated by then. She remarried. I thought it was a good idea for him to come over and be with family.
Back in New Zealand, one of his first friends was Aaron Laws.
He was hitching on the side of the road. So my mate said, well, shall we pick him up? And that's our first encounter, how I met him. He was very short. We used to call him Tiny.
The friends ended up flatting together and then went fruit picking in Te Puke.
We smoked a bit of weed together, yeah. Did the odd mushrooms every now and then. He was a drinker, but he wasn't a big drinker. It wouldn't take him much to get tiddly. But yes, you know, he was a happy, good rogue, yeah. He wasn't a nasty fella in any way.
Donovan moved to Auckland for work. He was living in a boarding house on Moore Street, Otahuhu, when, out of the blue, he called Aaron.
I got a major shock because I hadn't seen or heard from him. I was really excited. So I invited him down to come down, and our friends that he knew was having a party.
The party was at 18 Kepler Street, Narua Wahia. Donovan got a ride south and met at Aaron's parents' place.
He said hello to Mum and Dad, as he always did. It was polite. He asked to stay the night. I said, yeah, that's fine. Gave him my spare room. And then we proceeded to go to Belinda's, to the party.
A few hours into the party, Donovan's cousin Melanie, who lived nearby, visited him at the house.
spoke to me and my partner at the time, gave the kids $5 each, and I said to him, we'll come for breakfast if you're going to be around tomorrow. And he said, yeah, sure will.
Kristen Middleton remembers Donovan as an outsider who was made welcome that night.
Back in those days, if you drank large amounts of alcohol and listened to the right, same kind of music, you were right, no matter where you came from.
About 8 o'clock, another partygoer turned up, someone both Aaron and Donovan had previously flattered with.
Donnie gave him a fright when he first met him, because he sort of had his hoodie down and sort of went up to him quite fast, and my mate didn't know who he was and sort of pushed him away, and they had a bit of a tussle. It was no major fight. My mate was quite a staunch guy, a lot bigger than Donnie. Didn't like anyone sort of showing him up or making fun of him.
The party went on until the early hours of the morning. At about 2 a.m, there was a second altercation between Donovan and his former flatmate.
Donnie had a bit too much and was giving my mate a little bit of stick. My mate took it the wrong way, I think, and I think Donnie was just in his face a bit too much.
You right, mate?
I saw Donnie being pushed or punched onto the ground.
I remember jumping in there with a couple others and breaking it up, telling everybody to pull their heads in. And I didn't stand for that kind of, a couple of punches all over, go back to drinking and carry on, forget about it.
Aaron was not involved in the fight directly, but he was dismayed and frustrated to see his two friends fighting.
I ended up punching the fence with the handle. Cut myself open, so I had to go back to Mum's to get a thing to and stop the bleeding. I was away half an hour, as Mum was just up 3 doors up the road. And when I returned to the party, Donovan had gone.
23-year-old Donovan Rei was at a party in Narua Wahia in the early hours of Sunday, October the 8th, 1995, when he got into a fight.
You right, mate?
Friend Aaron Laws smashed a beer glass in frustration. He left to get his bloodied hand bandaged. He was gone about half an hour.
I came back to the party wanting to carry on drinking with Donnie because I hadn't seen him for over a year. And I was quite shocked that he wasn't there. I tried to find him straight away. Asked people if they'd seen him or anything. Yeah, it was quite puzzling. He was meant to stay at home.
Had he changed his mind? Decided to do something different?
Yeah, I remember Donovan telling me he was going to walk out and hitch. That kind of always stuck in my mind, that he said that he was going to hitchhike back to Auckland.
The Rei family don't believe Donovan would hitchhike when it was late and he had places to stay.
Narua Wahia. It's not somewhere you just get pissed and wander off. There's whānau, whether they're whānau or not.
I don't know why he left, knowing that he could come to Mum's.
You do silly things when you're drunk and you do different things. He may have gone on, but I don't believe he did. I believe that he was taken out on the highway.
Did Donovan get into a car, expecting to be dropped on the main road so he could hitchhike back to Auckland? At 3:52 a.m, a light-coloured Holden Kingswood car, driven by the man Donovan had fought with earlier, drove into the Narua Wahia BP service station. The man bought 2 pies while his companion stayed in the car. A photo taken from CCTV footage revealed that the passenger in the Holden looked suspiciously like Donovan Rei.
I think that photo holds the key to everything. It looked like someone with a beanie, but I knew it was Donovan because of his hair.
There was a photo shown to us by the police that I reckon is Donovan in a certain car. Why he'd be in that car is bewildering.
The Sensing Murder production team found it impossible to determine who the passenger was in the image.
I believe he was dropped on the highway out in Narua Wahia. He was struck with something solid on the back of the head. And I believe that car went up the road, come back and run him over to make it look like hit and run.
Within an hour of leaving the party, Donovan would be dead. What happened between the time he left the party and his body being found on the side of the road?
It's the mystery inside my heart too. This little thing that's been killing me for years. It's the not knowing. Why or how anyone could do that to a person.
Kepler Street, Narua Wahia, early October 1995. 23-year-old Donovan Rei had been in a fight at a party.
You right, man?
And he'd left unexpectedly.
I was quite shocked that he wasn't there.
He was going to walk out and hitch.
He was meant to stay at home.
The hitchhiking scenario is given weight by a taupiri couple who'd gone to pick up their son from the same party. They reported seeing someone trying to hitch north at about 4 a.m. Had Donovan been dropped off by the driver of the Holden Kingswood, fallen down, and gone to sleep on the road? The first witness on the scene was Beryl Porkai, who was travelling south with family to a funeral in Wairoa.
We were driving along the long straight just before Narua Wahia. I knew I'd seen something out of the corner of my eye that wasn't normal, so I braked and I said, oh, look, I'm sure I've just seen something, I'm going to go back. So I reversed.
Beryl stopped beside the southbound lane, the side opposite from where the shape was lying.
I saw a man that looked like he'd just fallen asleep on the side of the road. He was wearing a coat, long trousers, and a shirt. He looked okay. He looked like he'd just sat down, turned over on his stomach and gone to sleep.
Just as Beryl was about to get out and go to the young man's assistance, the others warned her to stay in the car.
Guys, I really think I should go. No, I really think I should.
He's not in any immediate danger. After everybody yelling at me, you know, don't stop, it might be a trick, you're gonna steal the car or do, you know, just trick us to get out of the car and they do something not good.
That's when she became aware of another car, acting, she thought, suspiciously.
A car turned into the driveway that was up the road, killed his lights. When I looked up again, I didn't see any more lights.
That car and those headlights would haunt Beryl for years to come. Were those the lights of Donovan Rei's killer? Was someone waiting for her to leave so they could finish him off?
I think we should just go. Just go.
So we went to the BP station called 111 and they put me on hold every time. It took like a few calls to 111 for anybody to answer.
Meanwhile, another motorist arrived from the opposite direction. Stephen Fleming, his brother and a mate were up from Taupo, and they'd had a big night out. By now, it was nearly 4:30 a.m.
Straight away the alarm bells are going off. I'm making a U-turn, we've got to go back, there's somebody on the road. I attempted to flag down traffic. I realised both he and I are in a lot of danger.
Despite the danger, Stephen, who had some first aid training, needed to move the person further off the road.
The first thing I'm looking for is spinal injury, head injury.
Convinced he'd found a slight pulse, Stephen knew he had to act quickly.
The boys had a blanket on them. Well, I whipped that off them. I said, this guy needs it more than you guys. And I placed it over Donovan, and I had to explain to him why I had to leave.
We'll be back.
Stephen then headed back into Narua Wahia. He went to the police station, where he ran into Beryl Porkai.
He said, oh, we just found a body on the road, and we covered him with a blanket.
When she returned to the scene to wait for an ambulance, she was in for a shock. The body was in a completely different place, some 30 metres down the road. And while no injuries had been apparent earlier, now they were shockingly obvious.
His face was bloodied. You could see he was scraped. And I don't want to say it like that, but he did look like roadkill. He looked like he'd just been run over. That's what he looked like. And, you know, just left like a dog on the road.
When help arrived, police and ambulance staff tried valiantly to revive the young man.
We told him we don't think he's alive, you know, and the policeman said to us, I still have to try. So he gave him mouth to mouth. And when they did the compression, we could hear the bones, whatever bones there are, and they're cracking. I thought it was, you know, good that he even tried to save him.
Early on the morning of October the 8th, 1995, Donovan Rei was found beside the northbound lane of State Highway 1 leading out of Narua Wahia. It has remained a mystery whether he was the victim of a hit and run or he'd been murdered and his death made to look like a road accident. Attempts to revive him were unsuccessful and he was pronounced dead. When a post-mortem was performed, it revealed that Donovan had this wound. Initially, the pathologist assumed it had been caused by a machete, but later he changed his assessment and told police the wound was consistent with having been run over by a car. Police did an examination of the scene. They concluded that Donovan's death was a hit and run. However, when his parents flew back from Adelaide, they gradually became convinced otherwise.
I was trying to find out what happened, why it happened, and after 2 or 3 days of sitting talking to the Narua Wahia police, I said, I don't believe he was killed in a hit and run, I believe he was murdered. And they said, no, it was a hit and run.
Cousin Melanie also saw Donovan's body at the undertaker's.
I noticed bruising that was a lot darker than some of the other bruising. Now I started asking questions, and at the time, the guy at the funeral home said to me that was post-mortem. It was done before he was hit by the car.
It's known that Donovan Rei had been in a fight at the party. It's known he was later run over, and that the impact of the car ultimately killed him.
Friends, we're gathered here this afternoon to remember before God the life of Donovan Patrick Beattie.
Donovan was cremated, and a roadside cross was erected just outside Narua Wahia, where it has remained for more than 20 years. Meanwhile, Stephen Fleming was in police sights as the person most likely to be responsible for his death.
we'd stop and see if he was all right.
The first thing I was asked when I entered the interview room was, what did you do after you ran him over? Which completely blew me out of the water.
Oh yeah, he was on the side of the road.
During and whilst we're having this interview, they took it upon themselves to enter our home and take our vehicle to be tested, I guess, forensically and see what they could find, which came to nothing.
After talking to the partygoers, police also identified the light-coloured Holden Kingswood and questioned the owner.
Yeah, Holden Kingswood.
He voluntarily surrendered his vehicle to the police on 3 occasions. Despite discoloration under the car, inexplicably, the police failed to test for blood.
They found a hair under one of the vehicles. They looked at the hair and decided it was dog hair and threw it away, which I thought was not good enough.
As far as police were concerned, Donovan Rei's death was a hit and run, involving an entirely different vehicle. Case closed. The Rei family, despite Merv's worsening Parkinson's disease, never gave up their fight for answers.
I wrote to the Minister of Police, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, every minister I could think of, trying to get some results and get some update and get something moving. I didn't go that far in school, but I poured my heart out in letters to all these ministers, and all of a sudden I got something going.
With Merv's perseverance, police reviewed the case and the investigation was reopened.
23-year-old Donovan Rei was thought to have been the victim of a hit-and-run accident, but police now believe he may have been murdered.
And they're trying to find the car Donovan was last seen in, the silver-grey Holden Kingswood.
Tonight they're announcing a reward of up to $20,000 for information leading to the conviction of his killer.
This time, the police file would be upgraded from road accident to a homicide. And police veteran Bruce Curry, who now works as a private investigator, was put in charge of the re-investigation.
I was really disappointed with some of the work that had initially gone on in 1995 when it was first investigated. There was no way that was a motor accident. That was a deliberate act.
The previous inquiry had assumed Donovan had been hitchhiking and was hit by an out-of-control car that was never found. Bruce Curry and his team of 15 investigators became critical of what they discovered in the 3-year-old file.
The whole thing was rather amateurish, and they didn't involve forensic people at all in that investigation of the vehicle. So as part of the re-investigation, we tried to locate the vehicle just to have another look at it ourselves, and it appeared that the vehicle had been scrapped. We weren't able to locate him.
The new police team turned their attention to the cut on the back of Donovan's head. The pathologist conducting the post-mortem had initially concluded this wound was caused by a machete. But questions raised over the injury have led Bruce Curry to formulate his own theories.
Obviously, if someone's struck on the back of the head with a machete, that's going to immediately suggest another party involved, maybe a fight. And potentially, I guess, that being the cause or the reason why Mr. Rei was actually lying on the ground. And that would allow for the vehicle running over the top of him and dragging him down the road.
Police now went back to consider the 2 service station pies bought by the owner of the Holden Kingswood. Was Donovan in the car? Had he consumed one of those pies?
I was thinking about the post-mortem itself, and because that food obviously would have only just been consumed and there would have been evidence of the remnants of the pie.
But the pathologist had not reported on the stomach contents. Bruce Curry and his team needed to go back to everyone who'd been at the Kepler Street party and again bring in the owner of the Holden Kingswood. The man couldn't recall who'd been in his car. He'd been intoxicated. The CCTV footage was a surprise to him, and he thought the photo showed another partygoer. Despite the gaps in his memory, he was adamant he hadn't killed anyone. That, he said, he'd remember.
I do think it was him in the car. I think that there's possibly been another altercation between the driver and Mr. Reedy. And it resulted in Mr. Reedy being struck on the back of the head. And as a possible scenario, the driver of the Holden could have then left the scene and done a U-turn, came back towards Narua Wahia, changed to the right-hand side of the road and drove straight at Mr. Reedy's body.
Though never proven, this is the scenario the Reedy family has always believed.
Something obviously happened that night at number 18. We don't know what it was or how bad it was, but I do believe there are secrets being kept.
I believe he was whacked on the back of the head with an iron bar or something heavy, and I believe that's what killed him.
It was no accident. No, it was a deliberate act.
I think you just deliberately run over. Because how could you do that to someone and just leave them on the side of the road? And that person knows what they've done. I just don't know how they can live with themselves.
It's been 20 years since Donovan Reedy died on the side of State Highway 1 just out of Narua Wahia. For the Reedy family, the hardest thing has always been not knowing whether Donovan's death was an accident or deliberate.
What I want is the truth. You know, for 20 years I've held that he was hit in the head and run over by a car to cover up. If that's not what happened, at least I'd want to know the truth.
The Reedy family has now come to sensing murder. It's perhaps their last chance to get justice for Donovan. Sensing Murder has brought together two of New Zealand's top psychics. Can they come up with new information? Find clues the police don't have? English-born Sue Nicholson has lived in New Zealand for the past 25 years. She is well known for her ability to help bereaved families communicate with loved ones who are no longer here.
She's laughing her head off and she goes, look, I have breast cancer.
Psychic medium Kelvin Cruikshank runs sell-out shows throughout Australia and New Zealand. Like Sue, he writes books about clairvoyance and communicating with dead people.
Oh, you remember me? I was the one that was pregnant at the time. And I was like, oh, I didn't do that.
Until this morning, Kelvin had no idea he was coming to Hamilton. He was only given the destination when he arrived at the airport. The rules for sensing murder are clear. The psychics have no prior information about the victim or the filming locations. They are filmed on separate days. Their job is to provide the victim's name, age, sex, and details of how and when the person died. Correct answers are sometimes confirmed by the film crew. Each psychic is given a downturned photograph. They have 8 hours to make contact with the spirit of the victim. What will Donovan Reedy choose to reveal?
It just takes a little bit of time just to get that connection going on. The key is that they'll come through when they're ready.
The photograph of the victim remains face down until each psychic chooses to turn it over.
First of all, I want to go with smile here. I want to go with the hair. Okay, so I'm going to the top of the hair.
This is going to be intense today.
I feel like they've been gone for some time. It's not a new passing, but they've been gone for some time here. That's what
Both psychics independently find it helpful to write down some of the things they're shown.
I'm feeling very hesitant with this person, like my heart rate's going. So it's very unexpected of how they went.
What are you arguing about?
I feel like I've gone, or there's an issue around their head.
Female?
The incident of how they've gone by connecting around with their head, that's where I want to go first of all.
Sue is right. Donovan was punched in the face at the party.
You're right, mate?
Keep flipping. This is bizarre. Keep flipping between male and female, male and female, male and female, male and female, male and female. Doing my bloody head in.
I feel like it's... can I turn this? I feel like I need to... Is that okay, or can I... Oh, okay. Let me just work with him now. I got it.
This is the first time Sue has seen a photograph of Donovan.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the photo over simply because I'm getting conflict of interest in my own head, and I think we're here to help these people, so it might make it a little bit quicker.
Why are you frustrated? I have tried to come through before.
Sue's right. Donovan's father, Merv, attended a psychic show in Adelaide where some connection was made.
Malate. I wrote down blue eyes. They look like blue eyes to me.
He's getting angry now. Well, I just said, you getting angry with me? He said, no. I'm frustrated.
What mate, you need to be clearer. I can't help you if you don't help yourself.
While Calvin is in communication with the spirit of Donovan, he's struggling to get answers.
Imagine if I totally screwed it up. I'd be like, I'll be furious with myself, just saying.
It's a kind of a party, but not like over the top.
He's making me feel as if he didn't do very well at school. He wasn't too interested in it. Didn't have very much self-esteem, but he could fix stuff. I mean, he's quite clever, actually. This guy knows where everything is on machinery by the look of it. He shows me the hands that are quite greasy, and it even goes down to possibly tinkering on his own vehicles and engineering during the day, or machinery, I can hear them.
Donovan's day job was at a sheet metal factory, and he enjoyed working on old cars in his spare time.
Party going on. Take me into that place. I'm seeing marijuana and then passing it around, so they're all a bit high.
Donovan used cannabis regularly.
He did smoke marijuana, he admits to that, but he's not saying he admits to anything stronger.
While Sue manages to stay in contact with the spirit of Donovan, Calvin finds the connection erratic.
He's really pissed. Not as in pissed off now, he's drunk. There's alcohol in his system. There's an argument.
I see another car pulling up blue. A lightish blue. Holden blue.
The man who fought with Donovan at the party owned a silver grey Holden Kingswood.
And he pointed to it again, so the person had a Holden. Holden.
Psychics Calvin Cruikshank and Sue Nicholson have been asked to focus on the mysterious death of 23-year-old Donovan Rei. Sue has made an instant connection with the spirit of Donovan and pointed to a Holden motor car.
The person had a Holden. Holden.
A vehicle that featured prominently in the police investigation. But for some reason, Calvin, on a different day, is finding things harder.
I'm asking him, were you at a party? Where were you? He's like, yeah. It's just like hard work.
I feel like things getting out of hand, okay, at this party. Music, he's playing it really loud.
I want to hear loud music, I want to hear Metallica, I want to be able to hear a bit of, I don't know, Megadeth. There's just loud music, all I can hear is loud music.
He loved music, really kind of heavy kind of music, like heavy metal or something like that. He was laughing at me, because it's not my type of music I'd listen to.
Both psychics are correct. Donovan was a big fan of heavy metal bands.
This guy's really uncomplicated for me. You know, and I don't know why he won't click with me. He's going because I'm scared. It's like, man, there's nothing to be scared of, dude. Just chill out. You're in spirit, I'm alive. We've got to work together.
I'm getting a person around him that would be quite confrontational with him. I can see him broader shoulders than him. That's what I'm getting, and much more stronger than him. But very violent. This person had a very violent nature.
The other partygoer was considerably bigger than Donovan. Donovan's nickname was Tiny, and he weighed just 70 kilos.
Okay, what happened to you, mate? You don't like me at all, that's fine. I know you don't like me, that's fine, I don't give a shit. Basically, you tell me what happens, otherwise I walk.
His mannerism was very kind of scary. And I feel very strong control that he had over people. And you didn't mess with him.
I just keep asking, what'd you do wrong? He said, I didn't do anything wrong, but I was in the bad position, the wrong place at the wrong time. But then I don't know if that's true or not, because I feel like I've been arguing with him this whole time.
There's something to do, pop again, my ears are popping, so obviously that to me is something to do, like they have been hit around the head.
You right, mate?
Said he attacked him first. Why? He's shaking his head. He said, I don't know why. I don't know why.
They beat the shit out of him by the look of it. Feels like I'm bruised up. His face is really sore.
I feel like he's grabbed him round here and he's punched him. Yeah. I feel like my nose is bleeding. Okay, so he's punched him in the face.
He was the one that hit the deck.
Why didn't he like you? He said because sometimes I was a bit cheeky, but it was a joke. He'd say a smart comment.
This is exactly how Donovan's friend Aaron Laws described events that night, that Donovan was being cheeky.
This person would take it the other way.
Sue's connection with the spirit of Donovan remains strong, but as the reading progresses, Calvin gets increasingly frustrated.
I've never been so misled in my entire life, spirit-wise. He's trying to protect someone. It could be me.
It's unclear why the two psychics are having such different experiences.
I'm just getting a disappearance of 1 minute I'm there and the next minute I've gone. It seemed to escalate from the house to that point of him going and being murdered.
How did he get properly from point A to point B? It's either A, he either got into a disagreement at the party, then taken away, or he died there. The thing is that he's not telling me jack shit. He's hiding something. And I know he is, but he says he's not, but I know he is.
Pies. He's laughing to me about a pie, or going to have a pie, or eating a pie, so I think he liked pies.
Although never proven, police believe that Donovan's last meal was a pie purchased by the man Donovan had fought with earlier.
I know that everyone's looking for answers, but he says, what's the point? can't come home.
Feels like there's a confrontation outside of a car.
If you want to help your mum, your dad, your siblings, your family, your friends, then you talk to me, because I can help you.
I can hear water or I don't know if it's a river or a stream by the road. I actually feel I'm at the side of the road but being hit. I felt quite giddy, like I was going unconscious due to the fact, first of all, about the head area. You know, I was being hit around the head.
Sue is correct. Police believe there was another altercation on the side of the road.
Were you left on the street? So he's now showing me on the road. Sidewalk, road, concrete ground. Just walking home? What the hell are you talking about?
Calvin isn't making the same progress as Sue.
I can't see any blood in that car. I feel like I've got out of the car. I can hear gravel. Gravel. Like I've been dragged across along the gravel or the road.
While there were no witnesses to running Donovan over, his injuries included multiple broken bones and abrasions, as his 70-kilo frame was dragged 30 metres down the road.
The thing is that he's really angry about everything because he feels ripped off, he feels pissed off, he feels let down, he feels like as if he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He feels like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. And if that young man that's now standing over here still telling me all this bullshit and all over the place stuff, I'm over it. You know, quite honestly, I'm personally over it. And I'm pushing the boundaries here because I need to get this dude to actually wake up. He's dead.
It wasn't just a blow to the head that he passed with. I actually feel towards the chest area again. An impact in my chest, and that's what I'm getting. So that was the one that actually killed him.